Harekrishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. So tonight I thought we would read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, which is entitled Prithvi Maharaj's Meeting with the Kumaras, and text 15. So if you could just please repeat to me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So I'll just read the Sanskrit and English, of course, and the purport. Tadaham krita vishvamba surida vastapasvinam samruche bhavat etasmin chema kena krisabhavet. Translation. I am completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. When saintly persons go from door to door to see those who are too much materially engaged, it is to be understood that they do not go to ask anything for their personal benefit. It is a fact that saintly persons go to materialists just to give real information of the auspicious. Maharaj Prithu was assured of this fact. Therefore, instead of wasting time by asking the Kumaras about their welfare, he preferred to inquire from them whether he could soon be relieved from the dangerous position of materialistic existence. This was not, however, a question personally for Prithu Maharaj. It was raised to teach the common man that whenever one meets a great saintly person, one should immediately surrender to him and inquire about relief from material pains of existence. Therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Samsara Vishanale, Diva Nisha Hiya Dvale, Judate Na Kanu Upai, which means, we are always suffering from material pains, and our hearts are burning, but we cannot find any way out of it. The materialistic person can also be called a tapasvi, which means someone who is always suffering from material pains. One can get rid of these material pains only when he takes shelter of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. This is also explained by Narottam Das Thakur. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan Ratina Janmila Kenataya. Narottam Das Thakur regretted that he did not pursue his attraction for the transcendental vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra. The conclusion is that all persons in this material world are suffering from material pains, and if one wants to get rid of them, he must associate with saintly persons, pure devotees of the Lord, and chant Mahamantra Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That is the only auspicious way for one to ask the persons. Om Gyanitmirandasya Gyananjana Shavakaya Chakshurabhunitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Vancha Kalpilvishya Vipasandhidevicha Patitanam Bhavanidyo Vaishnavadyo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Lasani Gauravinda Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I'm completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how, in this material world, we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. So, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he was asked a lot of questions by a lot of different people. And he would respond in interviews and to correspondence, letters, and so on, lectures, so on. So one time he was asked what the goal of life is. Now, of course, everybody has some idea what the goal of life is, what are they striving for, what's the sense of perfection for themselves. But anyways, that's probably what's the goal of life. So he said the goal of life is to enjoy. That's the goal of life. Be happy. Now, there's obviously a procedure or a path to happiness. And the materialistic people, or the whatever you want to say, mundane or materialistic people, they have an idea. Do this, do this, do this, do this, and you become happy. And also the transcendentalists, or the spiritually advanced, or the devotees, they also have an idea. Do this, do this, do this, and you'll attain happiness. But the point is there's some type of path. So let's just say, for example, that tonight we cooked a feast, right? We cooked a big feast for everyone here. But there's a certain procedure to cook that feast. Now, if I tried to cook the feast by, there's a stove and then there's the flame, and then I put the pot up to the ceiling on a ladder or something. I climb a ladder and I put the pot up to the ceiling, and then I try to cook like that. What's going to happen? Nothing. No feast. You're going to go, wow, listen to this guy. Kind of crazy. So there's going to be no feast, right? So the point is there's a procedure to cook a feast. And there is understood to be different levels or different grades of happiness according to our position. So for example, the happiness that the hog or the pig enjoys is inferior to the human being, right? They eat all types of obnoxious things, live in a dirty place, just, horrible existence. Now, Lord Rishabhadev, this is the 4th canto, so in the 5th canto, Lord Rishabhadev is the incarnation of Krishna, and he has spoken many interesting verses. In one verse, he speaks in regard to the hog. So he says, Nayam deha deha bhajam niloke kashtam kaman arhite vipujamde tapo divyam putra kanyana sattvam shud ramasalkyam tanantam. So he says, one should not work very, very hard like, I think he says dogs too, right? Just hogs. Okay. One should not work very, very hard like the hogs simply for sense gratification. And of course, like I mentioned, they eat all types of noxious things, this and that. But one should engage in divine austerity, or tapasya, tapodivyam, and in this way, purify one's existence and experience brahmasalkam tvanantam, so unlimited happiness. One should strive for that. Now, if we analyze ourselves, we will see that that is what we want. We want happiness. And if we analyze ourselves, we'll see that there's, we'll see that there's a void there within our heart, a void. In other words, a sense of dissatisfaction, a sense of always striving for something else, right? We're always striving for things. Keep on going. Buying things, this and that, just doing something. Now, we're trying to spend our time. Now, in spiritual life, that could also be the case. For example, one may, within this tradition, the Harekrishna tradition, you could say, Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, one strives, they obtain a guru, and they take initiation, they become a formal disciple, and then there's such thing as second initiation, where there's a whole process, right? And then one may get a position as an important position in the spiritual society, this and that. And still, they may find themselves thinking, okay, well, I'm still dissatisfied. Like I still feel some type of void. Now, in material life, that's also the case. People, they go after education, they go after nice car, nice house, prestigious position in society, and still many times they feel like a void in their heart. They don't feel satisfied. Now, with the spiritually minded or spiritually inclined person, we would say, or this tradition would say, or I would say, that they're in a better off position than the materialistic person, if they remain in the materialistic position. And why is that? Because the materialistic person, what do? There's a void in the heart, and they just try to fill it, right, with all types of things. And many of the things are very self-destructive. Whatever, it could be drugs, this and that, some of the things. Or just shopping, right? Like I have some family members. You go into her closet. It's a close family member. I won't say who she is. I don't think she's listening right now. She's probably listening to something else. And anyways, I don't mean to offend anybody if this is what goes on. But anyways, I'm just saying. You go into her closet and you just look, and there's like a huge selection of, for example, the guy is also like that. Specifically, I'll talk about the guy because I'll talk about the guy. The husband's like that too. You walk in and there's a huge selection of what? Sweaters, right? Now these aren't ordinary sweaters. Each of them costs $400, $500, $500, right? And I'm thinking, wow, this is just anyways. So the point is there's a void there, and they're just trying to fill it. Okay, let me just buy a whole bunch of sweaters. Let me buy a whole bunch of shoes. Let me just go here, go there, do something, right? They're just trying to fill. And in many ways, it ends up to be a self-destructive life, ultimately. And they either slowly kill themselves, physically, you could say, or spiritually, or sometimes they may even just kill themselves, right, like a fast thing, kill themselves, suicide. Now, with the spiritually inclined person, they have a choice. Okay, I'm not feeling satisfied still. What's wrong with me? What's the issue here? Now, the issue is they need to dive deeper into the process. For example, chanting Hare Krishna. So if someone happens to be bored, sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes someone is bored chanting Hare Krishna, these names up here, in meditation on the beads or in kirtan, really that means they're not really chanting. I mean the pure name of Krishna. Means they're not really listening, they're not really fully engaged in the process. So if somebody is spiritually inclined, then they should go deeper. And the example is given of a fish. So if the fish is swimming really far down there, then there's practically no chance of the fisherman, the good old fisherman, throwing his fishing line out there and catching the fish, killing the fish. So similarly, if one dives very, very deep into spiritual life, into the chanting of Krishna's names, God names, associated with saintly persons, then they won't get caught by Maya, or the illusory energy, or the materialistic way of life. They won't end up wasting their time. Now, the Srimad Bhagavatam, this book, it says that naturally everybody's looking for happiness, but that seeking happiness separate from Krishna or separate from God, that is classified as envy. Envy of God. Now, we can say, okay, well, I'm not like, raising my fist up in the sky and saying, oh, God, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? Or I'm going to try to compete with you. But practically, we'd see in our human affairs that we tend to be envious of others. Sometimes, right? Maybe. So if someone has like a nicer car, or they live in a nicer place in the neighborhood, or they get more respect than us, or they get a promotion, right, in their job, right? I should have got the promotion, but they got the promotion. Or the list goes on. Or looks, right? Someone maybe looks to me better than me physically. Then we have a tendency to be envious. So we could just transfer this up to Krishna, because after all, Krishna is all attractive. That's the definition of Krishna. One is all attractive. So we're just envious of some material attraction, which is gone in a few years anyways, through aging process. And we're attracted by some wealth, which is gone with termination of that person's material body, in other words, death. And we're envious of positions. In other words, we're envious of all these temporary things which are very small on the universal scale anyways. But when we look at Krishna, he has all these things eternally and unlimitedly. So if there's really someone to envy, then it seems like Krishna's the one. And that seems to be the case in the material world. So, but the Srimad Bhagavatam also says that this desire to live a life separate from Krishna, this is like a recipe for disaster. And we see practically that the world is blazing. Like here it says, that our hearts are burning, right? my material pains, and it says we're blazing in material existence, the fire of material existence. So we may not be feeling it here in SanDiego, but there are many places in the world where people are feeling the blazing fire of pains in material existence. And of course, to some degree, if we're all honest, we're also experiencing it here to some degree, which specifically comes in the form of anxiety. So anxiety is symptomatic of our too much involvement in the material world or in material consciousness. So here it says that the great saintly personalities, what do? They teach. They go door to door and they teach. They teach the science of Krishna consciousness. Now they don't teach how to make money. They don't teach how to be comfortably situated within this material world. They don't teach any of these things, but they teach how to be Krishna conscious. And specifically, they answer very important questions like, who are we? That's an important question that a lot of people don't even ask. So if we don't know who we are, how are we supposed to become happy? We can't become happy if we don't know who we are. So that's the first step, to know who we are. And the greatest example within modern times is His Divine Grace ISKCON Swami Prabhupada, who left India at a very late age. His 70th birthday was on the boat coming to America. And anybody who's 70 or close to 70, they can just imagine, or we could say this, just imagine those of us who are maybe close there, hopping on a boat, a cargo ship, on a 30-day trip over the ocean, right? Or 35 or how many days it was. So it's not very pleasant. And somebody joked with him, one of the boat workers, employees, before he left. He said, "Oh, Swamiji," right? He said, "No. Oh, Swamiji, I know why you're leaving India to go to America. You're going to enjoy." That's what people do. They come to America to enjoy. So Srila Prabhupada said, "What do I have to enjoy? My life is finished. I'm an old man. What do I have to enjoy?" And he said, but I've heard that, or I know that there's a very confused, young, and all people, confused people generation. So I'm going there to try to help the situation. Wow. Now, sometimes throughout people's lives, when they're young, my age, or I don't know, I'm 27, but older, we spend our times in various ways, right? And the tendency sometimes in old age is to, and in all ages really, is to just waste time with stuff that doesn't really matter. So instead of Prabhupada, which is very common nowadays, wasting time in whatever, watching cricket, or baseball, or football, or playing baseball, playing football, or focusing on politics, or doing the unlimited things that we can do with our time. He was thinking, okay, I need to help humanity. Okay, I need to educate some people. I need to serve my spiritual teacher. So we can learn from that. Because ultimately, what do any of these things matter? Okay, politics, board games, whatever, baseball, football, the list goes on. This. What does it ultimately matter? At the time of death, what does that matter? So Obama, he's not going to save us at the time of death, right? I don't think so. Or whatever, some professional athlete, he's not going to save us. So who's going to save us, right? What's going to happen then? So that's what intelligent people should consider. So similarly, as Srila Prabhupada ventured out on this great adventure to spread Krishna consciousness, he also has given the mission to his disciples and grand disciples. So we have a few disciples here of Srila Prabhupada in the room, and we have some grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada in the room. Means persons who were directly his students initiated when he was on the planet, and then his students became gurus. So I'm initiated by one of his students, grand disciple. So the idea is there to also do the same as he did. And we have one such case. His name is Radhanath Prabhu. So Radhanath Prabhu, he was in a very interesting position and a very difficult position. He was a Prabhupada disciple, and he passed away, I don't know, 5 years ago. But what he did is he would pass out Srila Prabhupada's books very regularly, like 6 days a week, something like that. He would go set up at the post office or up front of grocery stores. And the interesting thing about him is that from his knees down, there were his legs had to be amputated because of some disease. And he was very thin, and his hands were just very thin. Everything was thin, and he could hardly move. Practically, he had to have a helper. But still, he was going out passing out Srila Prabhupada's books. And I heard recently that everything he ate. Now, sometimes when we get sick for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, we have to suffer through eating whatever soup, stuff we're not very thrilled about eating. But everything he ate, he had to blend in the blender. Blend his food and eat it. So you could just imagine every day, breakfast, lunch, blending your food. How pleasant is that? Not very pleasant at all. If anyone's tried it, you can make an experiment. Make a one week experiment. See how you like it. So that's what he did. So.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. No thanks. He'll go for the Sunday feast. Rightly so. No one wants to voluntarily accept some kind of thing like that, unnecessarily. Right? But he had to because of his bodily situation. So one day, I was walking out of a store, like a health food store, East County, about 30 minutes away, in El Cajon, which is in Spanish, those of you who know Espanol, it means the box. Right? So I was stuck in the box.
Big box.
Big box. Yeah. And he happened to, my mother was there also, and he happened to give me a book, Perfection of Yoga. I still have the book. I read the book, and then I came by this temple. Wow. So that was, whatever, 10 years ago. So obviously he changed me a little bit, as you can see. I wasn't like this before.
What were you?
Yeah, what were I like? We don't have to discuss that.
Like Hector sees her hand.
Yeah, there's many devotees who were here when I first came.
I remember you.
But he gave the process, and all devotees give the process in which the process is, by taking to the process, one becomes free. Means, the whole entire world, practically speaking, is under everyone practically speaking is under great vice. That means there's something that just is some bad thing or some bad quality that they're just practically entrapped by, enslaved by. The whole world's like this, practically speaking. Now, the process the devotees give is one of freedom. So that means they're free. I mean, of course, it's a gradual process. You don't become free overnight. But it's free from what? The material pangs. So it means the suffering from material pangs. So the material pangs just doesn't mean, okay, we're under some terrorist attack or whatever, we're in some war zone or whatever, we have some disease, but the material pangs, which means this anxiety, this frustration, this dissatisfaction, this just lack of purpose, this lack of meaning, this just ignorance, ultimately speaking. This is ignorance, not knowing who am I, what is the goal. So one becomes free of this gradually, and that's just part of the thing. And on the positive side, or it's all positive, but on another angle, one experiences the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. So one may not be fully experiencing the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, but to the degree one actually tries to participate in the process, to the degree that one experiences it. Now, it says here that Hare Krishna, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, it comes from the spiritual world, and it has the ability to free us from all of our problems and all of our pains. And if we chant sincerely in association with the Buddhas, we take shelter of that chanting. Now, many people, they have a hard time believing this. Many people have a hard time believing this or accepting this. Or they semi-believe it or semi-accept it, not completely. And they have that saying, right? The saying, the famous saying, which God knows where it's from, but the saying is too good to be true. Right? It's just too good to be true. How can just repeating a few words just solve all the problems? How can it give you the highest happiness? Too good to be true. It's too easy. I have to do this, I have to do that, do so many things. And yeah, it is simple. That's the fact. It is simple. As Prabhupada said once, that it's so simple that sometimes it just goes right over people's head. They'll miss it. And it goes over people's head or our heads, or whoever's heads, for a variety of reasons. And one is, it could be lethargy or pride or this or that. So many innumerable reasons why it goes over our head. And unfortunately, it's hard for us in the material world to come to the point of actually just, okay, I'm surrendering to Krishna. We rather go off into some retreat center and God knows where, and stare at a wall and focus on a little dot or something like that. We rather do that, or we rather do a million things besides just anything but Krishna. So that's we have to try to get free of that. And we can do that by taking or associating with saintly personalities, which do exist. Saintly personalities do exist. I know it seems to be a messed up world, and yes, it doesn't seem like that it is, but there are such a thing as saintly personalities who, they exist. And the more we do that, associate with saintly personalities while chanting Hare Krishna, and there's before I get to what happens, but there's a specific way in which we do that. Srila Rupa Goswami, great teacher, within this line he says, Dadati priti grinnati guyamayakati prichiti bhakte gojate chaga shadvidim priti lakshanam. So he says, there's six characteristics or 6 ways, specifically 6 ways in which devotees, they have 6 exchanges of love. And they are offering prasadam, or food offered to Krishna, spiritual food, accepting. So we should not just accept, but we should give too. Offering, accepting, revealing our mind and confidence. Okay, this is what's going on in my mind, or revealing my mind. inquiring, confidentially asking questions to those who can answer, and offering charity or giving charity or gifts, offering gifts, giving gifts. These are the 6 loving exchanges. So we see this even happens in materialistic society, these things. So the more we do this, and it says priti, lakshana, these are the 6 loving exchanges. So it has to be done with some affection, some care. So the more we do this, the more we will actually come to actually make real advancement in life, and come to experience real happiness in life. Which in material existence, whatever advancement we make, really, is not the most important advancement, nor is it, it's not the most important advancement. And the happiness in which we experience in material existence is also not significant. So, but the more we could associate with like-minded personalities and chant Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says here, this is the auspicious way. Or this is the good path. This is a good way to go. So I'll stop there if anyone has any comments or questions about anything. Somebody has? Yes, so I said one statement that the saintly persons teach how not to be comfortable in the material world. And then I said they do come to teach teach us how to become free from material anxieties and miseries, all that. So how do those two go together? So they go together in the sense that the happiness or the comfort in which we may feel we experience in materialistic life means life devoid of Krishna consciousness, life devoid of spiritual aspirations and goals, and just material life, is actually not real comfort. But the real comfort is actually taking shelter in Krishna. Because comfort really means that we have a lack of fear. That's real comfort, actually. Because how can we be comfortable if we're in fear? It's just, how can we actually be comfortable if we're in fear? And it says that anybody who turns their back on Krishna and focuses on whatever else, it means that they automatically have to experience this fear. Because that means they're losing sight of them being a soul, means non-destructible, means no one could actually harm us. They can harm the body, but not us. And losing sight of just Krishna's protection. So because God or Krishna is all-powerful, he's the protector of his devotees, and ultimately devotees have nothing to fear. Just like if we know, like the example is given if you're at a zoo, right? So you're there with your father at the zoo, and you're holding his hand. You know, there's a big lion in the cage. And then the kid will just go up to the lion and maybe roar. Oh, we can roar. You know, as kids do sometimes, right? But he's holding onto his father's hand. Oh, I'm good. You know, my father's going to protect me, right? I'm good. Or as Vajrayana Swami quotes regularly, he says how Prabhupada said, "Oh, you think you're sitting on the floor? I'm sitting in the hand of Krishna." Right? And for a while, I had a hard time kind of grasping what that is, and I still fully don't get the import. But the basic idea that I get from it, which is that yeah, the devotees, they have this understanding that Krishna's in charge. So I don't have anything to fear. The most supremely powerful, loving, compassionate person is looking after me out of love in a loving relationship. And I don't have anything to fear. Even if something bad happens, the devotees actually take it as Krishna's will. He's trying to teach me something. They use it as opportunity to take shelter of Krishna. So what I mean is that the devotees, they don't come and teach us how to become materially comfortable in this world without Krishna, but they teach us how to become really comfortable, free of fear, and them themselves knowing that real comfort just comes at, and real fearlessness comes at the lotus feet, being such a lotus feet of Krishna. So I hope that cleared that up a little bit. Does anyone have any other? It's not complete if you don't ask a question. You ask a question every time. Oh. I don't know, whatever you like.
Now you've received so much blessings, are you going to pass on those blessings to us?
After I receive so many blessings,
You have already received.
I have received so many blessings, I'm going to pass a blessing on you.
On the oil?
Sure, why not? You just did it by speaking for 45 minutes. Touche.
Prabhu has his answer. But I can give you some prasad later.
Touche.
Swamiji, the question I have is that you've been told not to judge people or to criticize people, but when we talk about it in the context of trying to emphasize, is it alright at such a time to talk that way?
Okay. Yes, she's asking a very interesting question. That the general idea in religious circles or spiritual circles is that we have to shy away from criticizing people, which is true. But when we're emphasizing certain things, is it okay sometimes to criticize people? In our previous acharyas, or teachers who we accept as authorities, because they're repeating what comes from Krishna, who we accept as the Supreme Person of Godhead, they say in some cases, yes, we do criticize with the idea of teaching. With the idea of teaching. And not malicious, not out of hate or not out of this, just with the idea of teaching. I heard I heard something this morning, again from Balaram Swami. He was giving a talk. And he related a very interesting case that happened with him and his godbrother friend in India. His godbrother's name, His Holiness Naranjana Swami, who unfortunately doesn't come around these parts too much, but so there was one devotee, so Balaram Swami was there, and this Naranjana Swami was there. And there was another devotee who came. And this devotee came completely loaded, meaning not intoxicated, but loaded with all types of ammunition of criticism of everybody. So he was saying the management of this society, the leaders of this society ISKCON. He was saying this devotee, the brahmacharis, the monks, the householders, the married people, just everywhere. He was going everywhere, talking about everyone. And just going. And Balaram Swami just sitting there and listening. And Balaram Swami was like, wow, this person's almost got a 10 in the criticizing field. And he says, if he mentions the cows, then he's got a 10. And then the person, yeah, in the ISKCON cow protection, so he's got a 10. Everything was criticized. Everyone was criticized. And Balaram Swami, he said he was feeling kind of like, he was feeling a little heated, like, he felt he just wanted to walk away, like, this guy is too much. And then he's going, what is Naranjana Swami going to say to this person? So Naranjana Swami said, I could see that you're very expert in fault finding. And if you analyze your own heart, you'll find sufficient subject matter. So that was his answer. So I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if that person changed. maybe not. Sometimes it's hard to change people. Yes, so that's a little bit about criticizing.
It's more about criticizing. The Prabhupada was also sometimes criticized for criticizing. And he would say, not me, you take it up with Krishna. Namam dushkrita no mudha, pabhajante nararama, maya aparitigana asam bhavanashta. Krishna says, if someone doesn't surrender to me, they're mudhas, fools and rascals on a donkey level. They're the lowest among human beings. Their knowledge has been stolen away by illusion, and they're out and out beings. Don't blame me. Krishna says. So you can't be wrong if you repeat Krishna's words. And then you have to simply say, well, yeah, maybe I fit into one of those categories.
Yeah, that's what Prabhupada said. Yeah, don't blame me. Want to take up a court case? Take it up with Krishna. Lawsuit. Yeah, and like examples given of a kid, so we have some kids in the crowd, right? Maybe not so young. There's a few kids in the crowd, right? So if they run out, specifically very young kid, if they run out into the traffic, right? This Grand Avenue, which people put big bats in this Grand Avenue. And so the mother, any mothers here or a father, they're going to run out, and specifically in this example, mothers used, but they're going to run out and grab their child and yell and all types of stuff. But, out of love, like, what are you doing this trying to help? Trying to help the child. And we have a few, I was going to say one thing is we have a few of His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami's disciples here. So Maharaj would visit here SanDiego years ago. He's a disciple of Swami Shivam Swami. So one time he was at a house program, and there was, all the people there and everything. And maybe Maharaj was kind of being strong in his presentation, which sometimes we're maybe seen as a little strong, right? So somebody raised their hand and said, "So Maharaj, like, what's going on with all you ISKCON Swamis? You're just criticizing this and that and getting so heavy with us. What's the issue here? What's the problem? Why are you doing this?" And then Maharaj said, he said, if there is a dead rat within this room, do you want me to grab the rat and throw it out, or do you want me to go spray perfume? What do you want me to do? So from that, it's understood that the stuff that is said within the Srimad Bhagavatam and that which speakers of the Srimad Bhagavatam say, the only reason it's really there is to help uplift us and to help us understand that the stuff that we may be focusing on is unpleasant, like a dead rat. It's unpleasant. So instead of like perfuming it, then we throw it out, and then it's pleasant. Maybe burn some incense, right? Burn some after the rat's thrown out. Throw out the rat, burn some incense, cook some nice whatever, halava or whatever people like, rasgullas, have a nice feast, talk about Krishna, and then things are nice. Not just like, okay, the rat's there, but okay, it's all good, right? So that's the idea. So I hope. Anyways, I said that because I saw some Mahavishnu Swami disciples in the crowd, so they reminded me. So does anyone have any other last comments? Questions? All right, so I guess we'll have the next kirtan. Srila Prabhupada ki. stand up and then place some mats in the back. And we'll just have the next kirtan for about 15 minutes, and then we'll serve out the dinner.
How far?
Great. Not much left, man. It's disappearing.
That's good.